Let me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat. Can I get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, yeah, heat check, heat check.
What up, SML? Welcome back to Heat Check and what's going to be a thoroughly entertaining episode, maybe our last if we get shut down. We'll see. Me and Bomber here with you. We've got some content today. We're going to be kicking things off. We're going to be recapping a little bit of week one action. We're going to be going over the offseason for each team. We've got some bold predictions coming at you. And then we're finishing up with some burning thoughts. First time for this segment, I believe. It's going to be a ride. Buckle up. Not sure how long we're going to go. Probably pretty long.
I'm excited for our first 3-hour episode. This should be good.
Yeah, this might end up being a full length movie. So we'll see what happens here. But what's going on, Bomber? How are we today?
Oh, I'm excited. We got the week one started for season 37. Fresh off a win over Poly, so I'm pretty excited for this season. It's looking promising.
And an impressive win at that. That one was not close really at any point. So really big ups on that one.
All right, so let's go over some of these week one games. And the first game up was the Seahawks and the Bengals. Tiny beating up on two-step, your guy for the AFC North last season.
It's dead.
Well, it looks like the Faz curse has carried over at least for one game because Tiny was able to get a win. I mean, he only gets like 2 of those a season. So there's one out of the way, Tiny. All right, next up, we beat up on Pauly 27-10. He gave up a fortune to get that new quarterback and then threw 3 interceptions. So I think it's going to take a minute for him to get used to a right-handed guy again. And that quarterback's going to be good, though. So I wouldn't worry too much about the Dolphins at this point.
More on him later.
Okay. Next up is the Chargers taking on the Texans, and AFC South shows up and beats on the Chargers 28-21. So it was nice to see an AFC South team getting a win. Texans having a little trouble lately, but he gets one against the Chargers, who for a while everybody thought was going to be really good, and now I don't think he's going to be that good.
I think that dream is also dead.
And I believe he was also a Faz pick for a bold prediction last season. Speaking of Faz,
find yourself in this segment, run.
Speaking of Faz picks, we got the Vikings taking on Detroit, and you beat up on him pretty good. Luckily, you got him, and I don't know if this would have made a difference, but I guess we call it breaking news, but Detroit has acquired Trevor Hartwig from San Francisco for a second-round pick next season. So,
wait, who's dump got a quarterback then?
He acquired Jalen Hurts from the Eagles. So
he's going for the full run and ground pound.
Yeah, he's already pushing that 70-30 line, and now
ship him off to the AFC East.
Now he's going to add Jalen Hurts. I'm thinking he's going to be not long before he's disappointed in that 85 throw power. Then we had Prime took on the Titans, and once again Prime had some trouble with Coop. I don't know what the recipe is there, but this is the second time Coop has blown it on the last play of the game or last drive of the game to open the season. I thought he had him this time, but then he just left his wide receiver wide open for a touchdown with like 10 seconds left. So another tough loss.
Coop has like 98% of the blueprint. If he could get that last 2%, this league would be
he does
head over heels.
If we change to 5-minute quarters, Coop had him, but playing just a little too long. And another surprise game, the Jets just beat up on the Patriots 34-14. I know Matt was talking about, trying to get Locke X Factor. 14 points against the Jets isn't going to get anybody X Factor except maybe some Jets defenders. So I don't know if he's going to have to change his game plan. He went from being the heaviest run team to, and a matter of fact, I'm going to pull it up because it's impressive. 268 passing yards for Matt, 34 rushing yards. 34. If we look at his team stats here, Drew Lock, 282 yards. That's pretty good. 61% passing, not the greatest. 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But notice he threw 21 pass attempts to 6 rushing attempts. So outside that 70-30, we'll see if anything comes from that. But 6 rushing attempts after you were the heaviest run team in the league last season, and
It's
we
wild.
lose to the Jets. So I'm curious to see if he just goes back to the run and gives up on Drew Lock. I don't know.
Season 4, crazy stuff right now.
Yeah,
Crazy stuff.
it's a crazy start to season 4. From the moment the Super Bowl, well, hell, even the Super Bowl was a little crazy. So
From about 30 seconds before the end of the Super Bowl,
yeah,
and then on, it's just been chaos.
it's like the Madden version of 2020.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then we had the Eagles beat up on the Giants, or the Cowboys rather. It's 26-20, so Graham's going to start 0-1. And I think he's going to have some trouble in that division. And we'll get
It's a good division now.
It is. I think it may be probably the top division, top to bottom. I don't know about best overall division.
I don't think I'll argue you.
But if you take the 4th place team in the NFC East, I think they beat every 4th place team in the rest of the SML.
I would agree.
So by that logic, though, that means that whichever team that is, I think it's the Eagles this year that's going to play that 4th place schedule. They should have an undefeated out of conference schedule, at least for the 4th place.
His
teams.
schedule's tougher than I expected it to be, but he can definitely make some noise.
All right, we watched this morning. Panthers beat the Falcons 40-24. Royce seems to be getting a lot of turnovers, a lot of interceptions, and that carried over into week 2. Is surprisingly, Royce is the only week 2 game done so far, and he got like 7 interceptions that game. Packers had a little bit of trouble there with Meats. Meats beats them 34-3. Broncos beat the Bears 28-21. Amazing that Figs was able to keep it within 7 after what I saw against the Panthers today. Then we had the Rams beat the Steelers 34-14. Steelers get their weekly loss. Then we have the Giants. Giants beat the Bills. Rowan comes out, plays a playoff team in Knoll. I mean, he made the playoffs last season, and Rowan does pretty good, 35-10. Rolled him up. Browns come out, and this is always one of my favorite games to watch is the Browns and Ravens. They seem to have a lot of really good games, and they almost all mean something. I mean, that division is always like a 1-game difference. And this time it was the Browns getting the better of the Ravens 38-31. So I know Woods has a new quarterback again. So we'll see how long this one lasts. And then NYT just got rid of Dobbins and picked up that rookie running back. So we'll see if that AFC North stays kind of status quo, where those are the 2 teams battling back and forth. Raiders, he comes out and he gets ZZ 35-28. I know Futures had a lot of trouble with ZZ this cycle, it seems, but once again, it was a high-scoring game, but this time Future got him 35-28 with, I think he had 2 touchdowns with that running back, Ginn, who was the number 1 true talent or whatever you want to call it in the draft. Mm-hmm. I was looking at that guy too, but it looks like he's going to be a stud for Future over there in Las Vegas.
Yep.
Then we had Washington. He comes out and he loses to Dump. I picked the Washington guy to be a number 1 seed last season, and he did pretty good. He kind of fell apart in the second half of some games. I didn't get to see this game, but he's not off to a good start here. Dump's a good team, but I feel like if you're a number 1 seed kind of team, you need to beat Dump. Maybe Dump's got it figured out, but we'll see, because then immediately after a Washington win, he gets rid of his quarterback. So the
bold strategy, Cotton.
Season 4 continues to roll on. And then Dookie's missing his quarterback, his running back, and then you got Colt talking about how he had to throw games so he could get a high pick to get a quarterback in the draft. 38-3, Colt. I know you don't think you're bad.
Nah.
But you're bad. 38-3 with his backups. That's not a good look. So that's week 1. So next we're going to go into our off-season thoughts for each team. We're going to kind of break down how we think each team did, maybe give them a grade, or kind of break down a roster move that they made. Some of the teams probably won't have as much to say about, but then there's going to be those that, well, we'll have a lot to talk about. So let's jump right into that.
Yeah, you kind of want to hope that you're not on you don't have a lot to be talked about here.
That's right. So the first team is the Bears.
This is not one of those teams.
So this is the team. I'm going to put the controller down because we're going to have probably a lot to talk about. Figs, what are you doing? He takes Khalil Mack, and I think he got an okay deal for Khalil Mack. I understood why he didn't want to keep him. He's expensive. He's aging. Figs is trying to get younger. Whatever. He picked up a first-round pick. He picked up Sidney Jones, who I really liked. Sidney Jones. He started off his first game, got an interception. Added a little bit of speed to his secondary. I got that. If I had Mack, obviously I wanted to be on the Mack end of that deal. So obviously I think that was the better end of the deal. But I understood that one, and it made sense for both teams. Then he has his quarterback. His quarterback, he just picked. He's an X factor. He's complained the first 2-3 seasons about Mitch Trubisky, how he needs a quarterback, all this. Finally gets one. Plays one season with him and ships him off for I think he got 2 first-round picks from Pauly. So, okay, you now have Mitch Trubisky as your starter. You're back to where you were 2 seasons ago. You got 2 first-round picks, so whatever. But you're back to Trubisky, and what do? You start Tom Brady. Tom Brady, 437 years old, goes out there, and you start him, and you put up a good fight against Dan, I guess. I don't know. Maybe Dan wasn't watching the game. Maybe wasn't taking you serious. Because then we saw what happened with Royce. And I think every quarterback plus 2 kickers threw an interception in that game. I'm not even sure if he knew what team he was throwing to at that point. I don't know what you're doing. You took those picks and then you turn around and get Dobbins. You know why NYT traded you Dobbins? Because he didn't want to pay him. Now you're paying him. You could have just taken the running back that NYT took and been in a better position. And so I don't know. I just don't know what's going on in Chicago. But I think there's teams that are trending up. There's teams that are trending down. And this isn't one of those up teams.
I don't even know if you can say it's trending down. I think it's just flatlined. I think it's over. Like stick a fork in them, they're cooked. I'll never understand the quarterback thing. I mean, we dealt with, Mitch Trubisky's the problem. We hate Mitch. We hate him. He benched him like 7 times in 2 weeks in the first season. Finds just the holy grail. Hits, everything you could ever want from a draft pick with this quarterback. He gets some X factor. He's young. He's going to be good. His stats are nice. He doesn't have bad throw power. You couldn't ask for anything more. And then you immediately ship him out. Okay. And I guess I don't know if it was basically just to hoard picks. You want more assets, but then you don't use the assets on anything worthwhile. J.K. Dobbins is a good back, and he falls forward like all the other backs in the game, but you don't trade your X factor quarterback to take a running back in the first round. This isn't 1935. I don't get it. So now we have another year of Mitch Trubisky, who's 29. So you can't even develop Trubisky. You're going to be back in the same spot looking for a quarterback, hoping to find what you already had. There's just no sense to be made of it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're gonna get that's better than Tolbert. You had an X factor quarterback.
He was everything you could ever want to draft. He was the best. I mean, he's X factor quarterback that's young and has good stats and doesn't have panicked under pressure throwing. There was really no logical reason to get rid of the guy.
Yeah, and I think he took a pretty big cap hit as well. So the whole cutting salary, you just undid everything that you did there.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he had the Holy Grail, and he just chucked it, just threw it off Niagara Falls. It's gone.
And I don't think his draft picks were that great either.
I think one of them was supposed to be a Mac replacement. Let me look here and see if
that would probably be this Trevor Lewis. He's a 72 overall normal dev, 86 speed. He does have 80 finesse move and 71 block shed. Maybe he'll be good. He got a defensive lineman, another 72 normal. I thought he got somebody. There's a hidden dev defensive tackle. So he did improve his defense, I guess, a little bit and got a little younger on defense. But I don't know what you're doing.
Still not worth it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing over there. You had a franchise quarterback and threw him away.
and it would be really bad still. Don't get me wrong. It would be bad no matter what. It's 10 times worse because of how much he's complained about quarterback.
Yeah.
No reason for it. I don't get it.
All right. So next we'll move on to the Bengals, and Bengals didn't really do much. I don't think nothing notable. He signed Michael Pierce.
Michael Pierce.
Yeah. So he
Good
did
luck
do
with
that.
him. He's gonna get hurt.
Yeah. He signed Norwell. But for the most part, no really big moves there. So I think the Bengals are probably going to be where they were last season, and that's kind of just outside the top of that AFC North, depending on how many interceptions they throw and how close they can get to 100. Because
didn't he add this? No, this tight end is not new. Somebody, I think it was Washington, drafted a very
yes,
very good
Washington
tight
did. So
end. Okay.
that was not long after
Yeah,
my pick.
I'm looking through it. Mostly looks like he just added some good vets, added some depth.
Yep.
Looks like he drafted Tyrone Brazil, which is one guy I was looking at, kind of a project defensive end. As a whole, I mean, I think it's smart if you're two-step. Obviously, developing young players isn't quite as easy if you're not winning a ton of games. So, I don't hate adding some vets, adding some good stats, and trying to help, bolster your squad, maybe make a little bit of a playoff push. We'll see.
Oh, absolutely. I think you need to bring in those guys to help your team win. If you're, kind of halfway between being a good team and being a bad team, bring in some good players to get you over that hump, and then get those younger guys to develop.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had the Bills. So I was actually surprised that Buffalo didn't go with a running back in the draft. He's got Singletary. He's got Zach Moss. Both of those guys are 86 speed. He's got Sprinkles, the second-year guy. He's an 88 speed. And then he picked up Darrell Henderson, 90 speed. And he did draft Floyd Kemp later on in the draft, 90 overall speed and 72 overall, 90 speed. I really thought he was going to go with a faster running back, but I get why he didn't. He's got a 92 overall Singletary who's doing plenty fine. But he did pick up Linder. He's still got that tight end Morant, who I kind of wish I would have picked up, although Cortez Street has been pretty good for me. But yeah. Morant looks like he's going to be a good addition there. You got Jameis Winston, the superstar. And he didn't really do too much, crazy stuff. He did sign, like I said, Linder, and that was, to me, his big move. Helps his offensive line.
Yeah, it looks like he got a pretty good left outside linebacker. It looks like he's hurt, broken ribs, but only normal dev, but 21 years old, 78 finesse moves, 70 shed already, 82 speed. So that's a very workable player. That's somebody that he'll be able to do something with.
All right, so we'll move on. The Broncos, this is pretty obvious what they're
got good.
Yeah,
again.
so it's, and this is going to be kind of the first of two teams or two scenarios where the rich get richer, due to some questionable offseason decisions.
Questionable.
The Broncos are going to add Travis Kelce to an already stacked offense. He's got 3 superstar receivers. He already has Noah Fant at tight end. I mean, this offense is going to be ridiculous to try and stop. You can see he's got 3 superstar receivers. He's got now a superstar or X Factor, whatever they call him. I call anything above star just superstar. I don't care if it's X Factor or not, because your X Factor doesn't really matter as much as the abilities. He's got Fant. His tight ends are faster than some people's running backs.
Faster than Knowles.
Yeah. He's already got Leva. Who cares? He's going to be a good quarterback. He's got
Leva going to pass a lot.
Yeah, he's got Calais and Elam still at running back. He added McFarland. I didn't see if he did anything on defense too much. He got he did get something on defense. I forgot. He got Stephon Tuitt. So he adds an 86 overall defensive end to a pretty good defense as it is.
Yeah, I mean, Dan is the best Madden team builder I've ever seen. Probably him and maybe one other guy in Samara comes close. But Dan is an incredible team builder. He knows when to add the vets. I mean, Kelsey's a bit of a no-brainer.
Yep.
It didn't take a genius to bring him in. But But Dan is, very good at building teams. They're always well-rounded. There's going to be a ton of weapons. Anything short of representing the AFC in the Super Bowl again is a massive disappointment for this roster.
Yeah, so as someone chasing him, this just hurts because it makes that gap so much further. It makes it so much more difficult. Just giving him a 97 overall tight end. But so enough about that before I start crying. We'll move on to the Browns. And Woods decides to move on from Darnold, move on from Mann, and now we're going with the Maxwell Hartman era here in Cleveland for now. We'll see how long that lasts. He seems to like to give him about 2 games and then switch to the next guy. So
I will say that this one looks like the best one he's had. 94 throw power, 77 deep, 80 medium, 79 short. He's 21. This guy has all the makings of a quarterback that he's going to have for a while. This guy should be very, very good.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
Woods,
he looks like
keep him in there, man.
He looks like Baker Mayfield.
A little bit.
So we'll see how long that lasts. He did lose Jarvis Landry though, so that may have been.
Say, he kind of looks like Dump.
Yeah.
Based on the couple pictures I've seen of Dump in the group, he kind of looks like Dump.
He's also got Trey Harper. He picked up a rookie out of Michigan State, 5'10", but 95 speed. So he has a little bit of speed. But now it sounds like he's trying to move Austin Hooper, which he's 91 overall tight end. I'm sure Dan will take him. But this team was already good. His defense is really good. So adding a quarterback might be the piece that's missing for Woods. But we'll see.
There's not much more that you can realistically add. I'm surprised that Kareem Hunt is still on the team here.
Yeah, that one kind of surprises me.
But there's not a lot you can improve. This is definitely got to be. Clock is ticking. This is Woods' year.
Yeah, I think if he's gonna make a run, it would be this year, because I know he's got a couple free agents coming up next season. So I think his off season was pretty good though. All right, so we talked about Dan getting Kelsey. Next up is the Buccaneers, and just like with Kelsey going to a Super Bowl team, now Michael Thomas somehow gets cut and he's going to a Super Bowl team. And if you want to talk about an offense that looks scary, look at these receivers. Michael Thomas, 99 overall. Mike Evans, 96 overall. Chris Godwin, 95 overall. And he's got a couple 70s, 69, but they're all 93 speed, 91 speed, 93 speed. Still got Gronk and Zach Ertz at tight end.
They all fit the package of the Kraft cheddar cheese. That's what all the low overall guys fit.
I mean, he's got a stacked team. So, on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all know what Dookie's defense is about.
Well, he added Kinlaw to his defense. I didn't really notice anybody.
He's a nice piece. He had Fowler and Chandler Jones last year, so I mean, his defensive line's probably a lateral move, if anything. If anything, I mean, yeah, this team's going to be all offense all the time. He's got 99s left and right. Questionable methods on how they were acquired. At least Dan sent out a legitimate contract offer for Travis Kelce. I definitely have my complaints on how Michael Thomas was acquired, but I'll leave it at that.
All right, moving on to the Cardinals.
Roast him and burning thoughts later. So, hey.
Right, so surprisingly, I thought Meats was pretty quiet this offseason.
Not a lot to improve on this team.
He's got a really good team. I can't really even think. Okwara here from the Lions might have been the only pickup he had. He did sign Wingard, whatever the hell his name is. I had him, the first 2 seasons.
I couldn't even tell you.
I actually liked the guy. He looks like Kid Rock maybe 10 years ago, but he actually played pretty well for me. I think Paulie had him last season, and I think he's already got a pick 6 for Meats. So that was a good pickup. He brought back DeMario Davis. I didn't really notice any other moves really that Meats made. So
Yeah, it
probably,
looked like most of his moves looking at free agency was just offensive line. It seemed. I know he drafted a center in the first round, which Jerry Jones is very proud of. Um, so yeah, I think it was mostly quiet offseason for the Cardinals, but again, this is a team that really did not need much. So
yeah. So that brings us to the Chargers next. I, I didn't see him do really anything either. He's another kind of quiet owner. Makes his polls, but didn't really do anything in the offseason other than the draft, and he wasn't making too much noise there either. I don't think.
no, I don't think so. Again, this is a team with already a lot of players. Looks like he took a pretty decent cornerback, Junior Steve. Actually, very decent
Yeah,
cornerback.
actually 94
Junior
speed,
Stevens, yeah, 94 speed, 78 zone, 22.
which I
That
think
was a very good draft
I
pick.
think on our last episode we talked about how that's what he needed on this secondary was some speed.
Yeah.
And he
Yep.
added two rookies actually, 94 speed corner, and then Al Cousins, 70 overall corner with 93 speed. So two rookies that both 22 years old should develop into decent guys.
Yeah, there's very solid additions for Death Wish.
All right, now let's put the controller down again because we're on to ZZ.
Buckle up.
Travis
This
Kelce.
was rough.
I don't. So he said had to cut Travis Kelce because it was him or Frank Clark. Okay, well you only saved like $1 million, $1.5 million by moving Kelce. I know next season it would be whatever his contract is that you'll save. I don't
Still not
understand.
worth it.
You didn't keep Frank Clark though. So you said you moved Kelce because you could only keep one, and now Faz is sitting over there with Frank Clark, which okay, we needed money. So why do we give Jordan Reed like $7 million a year? Why do we franchise tag Duvernay Tardif? Why do we bring in a $14 million a year or $17 million a year left tackle that's 34 years old, and then draft a rookie that's 70? That 70 should be starting, and that 17 million could be used to keep, I don't know, maybe like the best. Oh, and I backed out of the teams. Maybe keep the best tight end in the game, arguably, on your
I
roster.
don't even think it's arguable. I think he's just
yeah.
outright the best tight end of the game.
I just don't understand. There are other ways to get cap room. Cutting your 97 overall best tight end in the game would be a last resort. If I have the room to sign a $17 million, 78 overall left tackle, I can keep that tight end and just use my rookie left tackle. I mean,
it's a big miss on evaluation. It's a big miss on roster construction. Just about everything. I mean, especially when you're the Chiefs, and the way his defense is, the defense is not going to make a ton of plays for you. You're going to have to score, and you're going to have to do it a lot. Getting rid of Travis Kelce to bolster up the left tackle spot with a 33-year-old is just not the answer. That's not how you're going to do it. I don't.
So the other thing to me, and I heard both guys say it, because the other one's going to be Colt. We're going to talk about him cutting Michael Thomas. Both of them said, well, these guys weren't worth the money I was paying them. That's because you're not using them. You have a 97 overall tight end. You should be using him. You have a 99 overall wide receiver. You should be using him. Stop throwing to Hayden Hurst 70 times a season and put the ball in Michael Thomas's hands. I don't understand. That's your problem. That's why you lose 11 games a season. You're using the wrong guys. I don't know. I think it's kind of a little bit of karma coming back at him, though, that both guys cut superstar players, top guys at their position in the game, and both of them now have to face them twice a season because they went to the Super Bowl champ in each conference that just so happens to be in each one of their divisions. So,
and you better believe that Dan's going to use Kelce too. Dan knows how to get the most out of all of his players, regardless of whether they're a 70 overall or an X factor. You're going to get a healthy dose of Travis Kelce in the AFC West here.
Yeah, I fully expect to see another Dan Dookie Super Bowl for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So enough with the Chiefs. Let's move on to Prime. And Prime had a fairly quiet offseason for his
It's
standards.
tough to one up DK Metcalf.
That's true. I mean, you weren't going to make much more noise than that. He signed Mike Williams. He did bring in Chandler Jones and Casey Hayward, but
still bitter about the Chandler Jones thing.
For the most part, I'd say his offseason was pretty quiet, other than, and it's not really an acquisition, but he got a couple guys up to superstar, Frank George being one of them, his quarterback, which is going to be big.
Yep.
But other than that, very quiet for Prime, which is kind of abnormal.
Good for you.
Yeah, we'll see. Then we had the Cowboys. Other than trading Kinlaw, I don't remember too much that the Cowboys did. I think he did draft another receiver Yeah, he did. He got that Julian Wharton, 95 speed out of Yale. So that'll be his fastest receiver that he's got, but
yeah, his receivers were a little lower on the speed end. I mean, you have Cooper, who's 93. CD's not quite as fast as unbelievable route runner, but not quite as fast. That 95 can really take the top off in a lot of plays, so he'll use him well. Otherwise, I don't know. I saw him complaining about his draft, about how it wasn't.
He said nothing really
ones.
excited him. He did get Bobby Wagner, which I think will be a big get for him.
Yep, that's a nice addition.
He drafted a 70 overall middle linebacker who's got 95 speed. Or 85 speed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
91 acceleration, 85 speed.
That's still pretty good.
Can't really complain about his draft. It wasn't too bad. He got a corner at 72 overall, 92 speed, but he's 24 years old, so I don't know how much he's going to be able to dev him.
Right.
So he added some pieces on defense. He did add a 95 speed. If you have a chance to add that kind of speed, can't really knock that.
Yeah.
But, all in all, not a bad offseason for the Cowboys. Quiet, but not bad. All right, the next team, the Dolphins. So I know Paulie hated Tua, right? So you took Tua and you trade him to the Rams. Great move. You got what? What do you get for that? You got the 10th overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
And did he get a first next year?
Let's find out.
No, he didn't.
Did not. I don't know what else he would have gotten.
Trying to remember what he got, but
I could have sworn he did get something else.
I thought he did, but it probably wasn't that great. And we can actually pull it up on Daddy Leagues because
True.
Because
I'm
I'm
not
really
seeing
curious.
anything standing out in the roster that.
No, if
that
you go
it
to the
was, but
forum, you can see the actual approved trade.
Right.
So I'm going to go to that because I get that you didn't like a left-handed quarterback. Makes perfect sense. You want to get your righty, something you're more comfortable with, because I can see where that would make, a pretty big impact on you. Okay, so you got the Rams' first and second round pick.
Okay.
All right. So you got a first and second round pick for Tua. You then take that first round pick and you send it along with your first round pick, the 22nd pick, to the Bears for Tolbert. So you basically took Tua and a first round pick and traded it for another quarterback. I don't really understand how you're not going to fill any needs that way. The quarterback you got he's an X factor, but I don't think he's better than Tua. Not by another first round pick. So I feel like you just left too many holes sitting there when all we heard about was I need pass rush. I don't create fumbles. Basically just my defense is bad, all this. And you took what was your strength of your team and then traded an extra first round pick to maintain that as the strength of your team. I don't get it.
Yeah, so I will say that he got bailed by Figs in that he did get this quarterback and the quarterback is good. So you can't super hate on it. It saved him from prior to getting this quarterback when I thought he had the worst offseason in the league.
Yes. Yeah, he did need to get a quarterback at that point.
So
But
it bailed him out from that. But at the end of the day, like, it's just poor asset management. This guy is not going to be like, worlds better than Tua. Tua really wasn't the problem with the team. Lefty is a little funky, okay, but at the end of the day, I just don't see how giving up all that extra stuff is worth just slightly upgrading your quarterback. Didn't address the defense, didn't address the pass rush really, not in any meaningful ways. So he'll be fine because he was able to make the trade with Figs, but he's in the same exact spot that he was last season. It's running around in circles.
yeah, it didn't really improve anything.
Yeah. If anything, he probably lost a little bit of opportunity to improve. Yeah. He probably got a little worse.
Now, one move he did make was he got Scotty Miller from Dookie, and that adds another 95 speed guy, and he likes to run those the little jet sweeps and the bubble screens and the RPOs.
Yeah,
and I think Scotty Miller will really help with that. I just backed out again of the rosters. So that was a good move, and I don't think the Bears trade was a bad move. I think the Bears trade with the Rams trade overall is where it may not have been the best.
Yeah, it's just an odd route to take.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that it leaves him in a much better spot than he was before.
No, I think he's pretty much the same spot. We're going to hear this season,
nothing changed.
all this season about how his defense doesn't get pressure, doesn't get fumbles, and he had the opportunity to fix that, but he traded away one quarterback for another and gave away those extra assets.
Yep.
All right, then we had the Eagles. Eagles couldn't really do anything. Can't trade superstar players. Can't trade a first-round pick. But he did quietly acquire some picks. He just traded Jalen Hurts, which, I mean, that's not a bad move. I don't know how in love with Carson Wentz he is, but you're kind of stuck with him right now.
Carson Wentz is bad. Yeah. So,
and it's same situation I was in with Josh Allen. I wasn't really a fan of Josh Allen, but I'd give him too much money. Have to ride it out with him.
And unfortunately for Klink, he didn't actually give Wentz that money. But
yeah, he kind of walked into this team.
He's just locked in. There's not a lot he can do. I thought he did well with the little that he could do. He acquired some picks. He got some decent young players. There was a couple, I think he drafted a receiver that was very solid, defensive end that was very solid.
He also added Patrick Peterson.
Added Patrick Peterson, which is a nice little boost for the defense. Helps him out in the secondary for sure. Helped replace Avonte Maddox, so I believe he traded for a second. I think he did enough that he'll have some young players to develop. I think he's going to be in a spot to potentially compete for a playoff spot. So I think he struck like a very good balance of not completely selling out to mail it in, while also still getting younger and getting some pieces to develop through a full season here. So I think with limited assets, he did a very good job with his offseason.
All right. Then we have the Falcons.
Did he do anything?
I don't remember. He did make one trade, but it was like it was a very small trade. I'd have to scroll through the trades again to figure out what it was. It was like some picks. There may not even, it was Goodwin. Actually, this probably wasn't the best trade. He got Marquise Goodwin. 72 overall, 94 speed. But
he's just one of those.
I think he gave up like a third and a fourth or something. It seemed like a lot, or maybe it was a third this year and a third next year.
Yeah, it was with the Eagles.
Yeah,
I think Goodwin was on the Eagles.
I mean, it wasn't bad. You added Zadarius Smith. That's a good one to add. And I thought he got a linebacker too.
Zadarius is a
maybe it was
linebacker. If that's what you're thinking about.
No, I'm talking about in the draft. I thought he added somebody.
Ron Whitworth, left outside linebacker.
Okay.
88 speed, hidden dev.
Yeah, he should be good, but
he should be a solid player.
Maybe give. I don't know if he's gonna. I'm sure he's gonna find a way to use both Zadarius Smith and Whitworth. So that was a good move.
Whitworth looks more like a coverage guy.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to be much of a rusher.
I'm not sure what he's going to do with him, but I assume he's got a plan for that.
Superstar dev for Whitworth, so he's already got Deion Jones in the middle. So wow, he is loaded at linebacker.
Yeah.
Lukuwan has 90 speed, also X factor. Looks like he's a rush. No, he's not a rusher. He is a coverage guy as well. Wow, he has got all the coverage linebackers. If you need a coverage linebacker, go to Atlanta.
Yeah. He wants secondary. I think he needs a safety. Both of his guys are in the 80s, and none of them are that fast. So
Right.
not a bad offseason though. I mean, you get Zadarius Smith and then a superstar linebacker to go with him. That's pretty good offseason.
Yep.
Then we have the 49ers. I was kind of we'll start with a quarterback first. Really surprised that he's going away from Hartwig after he spent all 2 seasons ago just throwing the hell out of the ball to get him his dev points, and now I guess he saw the light with the running game, because now he's 2,000 yards with Mostert, and first thing he does in the first round is draft Davion Edens, which
another 93 speed running back.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a nightmare.
Kind of disappointed because I think he picked like 24th, and I was sitting at 27 waiting for that guy to fall to me. But I'm not too disappointed with what I got either. But you can see what direction he's going. He's just going to continue to lean on that run game. He sees Mostert getting older.
Yep.
And he's just next man up, get his replacement, and away we go.
Get his replacement and get a quarterback to run the options with.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of going to be pretty obvious what Dump's going to want to do, and I actually think this move is going to hurt him, getting Jalen Hurts, because I think it's going to make him a little more one-dimensional.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot tougher to move the ball on tougher pass defenses.
Yeah.
If you're not getting the yards you need on the ground, you're going to be in a bad spot.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he does there, and because Hurts he's not superstar, he's a star. He's 25, or not a star, he's normal, 25 overall.
Yeah.
So you're not getting like escape artist or any of those abilities that are going to make some of these running quarterbacks significantly better. You just got a guy that's got 86 speed. I have Josh Allen. He's got 85 speed. I can tell you right now that doesn't feel like 85 speed. He's
doesn't mean a thing if you don't have escape artist.
Yeah. He's decent quickness, but there's a big difference between an 86 and an 86 with escape artist.
Yep.
And unfortunately, you don't have that escape artist. So I think he's going to be a little disappointed, and I give it like 2 games before we hear Dump complaining about this quarterback.
That's possible.
Next up is the Giants and Rowan. A lot of talk about Evan Ingram moving. Evan Ingram never moved. I had talked to him before the Mac trade. I was actually going to send a similar package for Ingram, and
wow,
he just kind of was like, "Well, let me get back to you." And then he was talking to a couple other people, and never really got back to me until after I'd already traded Sidney Jones. So at that point, it was too late. He did get Maddox from, I think, the Eagles. So
yep,
that's not bad.
That was a very good trade for Rowe.
Yeah, he needed to add a corner.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was quiet off season for him as well.
Yep, continuing to just supplement what's turning into a good roster. So I think that was a smart route from Rowan.
Oh, all right, my off season. So I basically traded out Sidney Jones and a late pick in the first round for Khalil Mack. Mack didn't really do anything week 1. He did get double teamed a lot. So what he may lack in sacks and numbers, he's at least taken attention away from other guys. And if I can figure out how to get pressure from the other side, I think we'll be all right.
Just the fact that you have to game plan for him makes him worth it.
Yeah, and that was kind of my whole reasoning behind getting him, was put somebody on the field that people have to watch out for.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I'll look at my halfback first. I added Antonio Hendricks a season after getting Rookie of the Year with Wiley, who's only 88 speed, which is why I wanted to add another running back. Hendricks is 94 speed, 92 acceleration, 91 agility, 89 change of direction. The only thing I don't like about him is his juke and spin moves are kind of low. So he doesn't really make anybody miss. He's a 80 spin, 79 juke. We get that a little higher, which I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to have that kind of 1-2 punch. Last season,
Yep.
I could throw a screen pass. Wiley's not going anywhere. I could throw a swing pass. Wiley's not going anywhere. This season, I think it'll be a little different, and I'll probably use the running back a little more in the pass game as opposed to the last couple seasons.
Yeah,
then,
there's a couple bell cows in the league. Obviously, you've got the Zekes, the Derrick Henry, the Chubb, Dalvin Cook is one of them. But other than that, the committee is the way to go. Players get gassed in this game a little more often as running backs, so it just helps to have be able to be balanced, be able to throw two guys out there that can make an impact for you.
Yeah,
so,
and I think that's where a lot of fumbles come from too, is where guys just get overused, they get tired, and then they get that big hit stick, and it's over. Another move I just made today actually was I picked up Chase Claypool and for D.D. Westbrook and a 3rd-round pick.
What?
Yeah, absolutely planned on letting Westbrook go after the season. He's 29, and then the 3rd-round pick. But I guess we'd been talking about Chase Claypool. What's that?
He's only normal? KJ, what were you doing?
Yeah, he's only normal, Dev. So that kind of hurts, especially being 25. There's not much time, but a 6'4", 93 speed guy.
He's so good in this game too.
I'll take that. Yeah. I haven't got to use him yet.
Good.
Should be using him in about an hour and a half against NYT. So we'll see how that debut game goes. Unfortunately, so I had been talking to KJ about Claypool prior to the draft, and he kept saying, "No, I don't want to get rid of him. I don't want to get rid of him." So I drafted, and this is because Dump took that running back that I wanted. I took Cody Sutphin, 6-foot receiver. He's 21 years old, out of Ohio State. Turns out he's pretty good. He's 93 speed, 93 change of direction. He's 70, or no, I'm sorry, 80 short route running, 71 medium, 66 deep. Not the best for anything over medium. But so far using him, he's pretty good. He feels really quick to control and everything. And then I took a 6'4" receiver that's 91 speed, thinking like a little baby DK Metcalf, which I ended up getting in Claypool. So my receiving core is a little stacked. I'll probably let Chenault walk at the end of this season.
Hey, wait a minute.
Or maybe I'll trade. Well, I won't be able to trade. I'll have to re-sign him if I'm going to trade him. But he will definitely be available. I would have liked to get a better tight end. I didn't get much there. But my big pickups were on defense. So I'm kind of switching my defense. I've got Akeem Hicks at left end now. I signed him as a free agent. I'm moving Allen. I can't move Allen's position, but in the depth chart, I'm going to play him at outside linebacker and move to more of a 3-4. I have Eddie Goldman at right end, and then Devon Hamilton in the middle at defensive tackle, who, by the way, has an interception already this season. One of those plays,
Devon Hamilton.
One of those plays where you get stuck on the defensive lineman trying to make your adjustments. Picked that off right there in the middle of the field. So that was a nice. It
was a nice user.
First time that ever worked out for me. Usually it burns
me. Yeah, almost always. But
and then obviously the big addition was Khalil Mack at outside linebacker, and then I did pick up another corner. I picked up two actually. Cam Leonard out of Miami. He's a 21-year-old, 6'3", 93 speed, 93 acceleration. Hopefully he'll turn out to be pretty good. He's actually also a hidden dev, which is just star, but I'll take it.
Still.
One step closer to superstar. And then another 93 speed, 6'3" guy out of UCLA, but he's 23.
So you're trying to find all the mutants. Yeah,
that's kind of what I'm looking for is the taller guys. You have to remember I'm in a division where I have DK Metcalf suddenly.
DK Metcalf now.
So
suddenly.
And then actually one of the other trades that kind of went under the radar because it was during the draft, which obviously we didn't do it till after the draft, but it was Clavon Chazen, and I got Colts pick. So the Saints #1 pick coming up this season. So I'm really rooting hard against the Saints. That 38-3 blowout by Dookie was definitely encouraging.
I think you'll be okay on that one.
Yeah. So that moves us to the Jets. Jets signed Carr, and then he went and drafted a quarterback, George Bates. He's a hidden dev. So he may have found his quarterback. I think I'm not sure which one he played in his win. And Bates is a superstar. So he's got two superstar quarterbacks right now. One's 32 and the other's George Bates.
I don't know why you wouldn't be playing Bates. Hopefully he's not playing Carr. I might have to slap some sense into him
if
he is.
Actually, let me check and see if he played Carr. What are we? 2023. Yep, he played Carr. 109. Oh, 14 for 14 passing, 190 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Oh, what are we doing, man?
Can't really complain about that though.
Good stats, but what is that going to do for you?
And he did
moving
play
forward?
Bates. Bates was 1 for 2, 12 yards. So
Start the man.
yeah, I would just start him. You're not making
this isn't the NFL. He's not learning on the sidelines.
Yeah, you're not making a Super Bowl run. Carr's nice, probably best quarterback he's had, other than maybe Aaron Rodgers last season. But Bates is the future. You got to get him in there, especially because his throwing power is only 89. So I'd be trying to dev him up as fast as I could to get, at least hit that 90.
Yep. Start throwing those points into strong arm. Get as many as possible and just start chucking those tokens. One of them's got to hit.
And then kind of disappointed he didn't get a running back though. He's still got 30-year-old Tevin Coleman. He's 92 speed, so he didn't lose too much there. But I would have liked to see him get a running back.
Yeah.
And other than that though, Jets were pretty quiet. I had inquired about his first round pick and just got ghosted on that. He didn't reply till after, and then he was like, "Well, what about next year?" No. Then we had the Lions. Lions didn't really do anything till today, and now he's got Hartwig. So Hartwig, 91 throw power, 85, 90, and 81 for his accuracies.
He's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's going to be really good. He's only 24. He's a star. I think he'll be pretty good for Hova, which will be a reason for one of my bold predictions later on in the show.
Stay tuned.
So after the Lions, now we're on the Packers. Mike got rid of Aaron Jones. Got rid of Aaron Jones. Didn't really he added Robert Bigsby at 70 overall running back rookie. I would have thought he'd maybe add another running back. I think he's comfortable with what he's got in Middleton, and maybe Bigsby will be the one he uses. I don't know how comfortable he is after the showing against Meats, but at least coming out of the draft, he didn't feel the need to get a running back. He could probably use some speed at receiver though. His only guy over 90 is a 94 speed, but it's his lowest rated guy at 72 overall.
I almost drafted this guy.
Peralta?
Tyler Peralta.
Yeah,
5'10",
94 speed. I would have thought he'd try to add a little more speed. Instead, it looks like he's trying to add old Colts because he's got T.Y. Hilton. He added Michael Pittman in a trade with Prime. And it's just
Pittman is good in this game. He's slow. That's the only thing.
It kind of looks like a wide receiver graveyard, though. He's got Landry. He's got Hilton. He's got Marvin Jones. So if you're a wide receiver and you turn 30, pack some warm clothes because you're probably heading to Green Bay.
Didn't he have AJ Green last season too?
He did have AJ Green, and
this is not out of character.
Yeah, so he likes the older guys. He did. He picked up Jonathan Allen too in that trade. So I think that
he also drafted Tony McNeil, who looks pretty solid. 82 power moves, 75 shed, 21. Mm-hmm. So he can work with him. Only normal dev though, which kind of hurts. But
yeah, I think he might be able to get over that 500 mark this season.
Definitely possible.
Then we have Royce or Computer, whoever is going to end up controlling the Panthers. Surprisingly, Royce has played his Week 2 game, so that's a nice change. We won't be waiting on that. We probably won't see him again till Monday, but at least he got his game in this time, so we're not waiting on him. He probably would have made some trades if he was around, but he's never around, so I don't think he did much in the offseason. Maybe he was there for the draft. I don't even know. I'm not going to waste time talking about the Panthers if he's not going to even waste time being here.
Dang.
So then we got the Patriots. I didn't really see too many moves from the Patriots either. I know he's been trying to shop Deion Kane, who's a 80 overall, 93 speed receiver.
Another ex-Viking. You're welcome for the star dev.
Yeah. I haven't really. He's got Locke. I know he had to franchise Locke. He's going to have to eventually pay him, I think, especially if he's trying to get him the X Factor. I don't know. I think he's going to have to go back to the run game, though. The pass game just doesn't seem to be
it's just interesting. The wide receivers are not that great. They're okay.
Yeah.
Allen Hall looks workable. Deion Kane is fine. Gallup is fine. Didn't get a tight end, which we were talking about might be a position of need for him. He
Yeah,
completely ignored
I know
that.
he asked about Ingram, and I don't know how far him and Rowan got in any talks for Ingram, but
Did Rowan again tell him that his team is trash and to leave?
he
'Cause isn't that what
probably
happened the
did.
first season?
I'm
I
interested to
think
see what he does with Gilmore. Gilmore's on a contract year. Um, I don't know. Maybe you could trade Gilmore and get something.
yeah.
I mean, it's tough because, well, you can't even trade him. You know what? Because he's a 98 overall. I didn't even. So
You can cut him.
that's right. So maybe he'll just cut Gilmore and save the cap. I don't know. But yeah, he didn't do too much except decide to go to a pass game, and that may be a short-lived experiment. We'll see. Then we have the Raiders. Raiders, I think, had a pretty good offseason. He definitely had some money going into free agency. He signed Dante Fowler, so he adds
Yep.
a superstar left end. He signed Adrian Amos, the safety. So that's a 91 speed, 85 overall guy. And then he also signed Marcus Peters. I didn't even see that one.
Yep.
But then he drafted.
He threw some money around.
And then he drafted the number one overall guy or true talent, whatever, in the draft in this George Ginn, 21-year-old rookie out of Ole Miss. And he's already got his speed. It looks like he devved him up a point and got his speed to 91. So that's already kind of what he needed to do, thinking he needed to get a faster running back. 90 changed the direction.
Don't get it.
What's that?
I still don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I don't get it with the 95s. Your best player on your team right now is Josh Jacobs, and you drafted a running back. And part of me is a little bitter because I could have ended up with one of those top three that I wanted if he didn't take the running back. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, Josh Jacobs, I get that it's 89 speed, but I mean, these stats are unbelievable. He has bulldozer. He's your best player. Well, Ruggs is probably your best player, but
yeah,
Josh Jacobs is your second best player. It seems odd to use that first round on a guy that won't even be a bell cow. I probably would have tried to use that elsewhere. Try and bolster up some other positions. How is he a quarterback?
At quarterback, he's got Haskins,
decent.
which isn't bad. He's been using rookies and doing all right.
But considering Figs was willing to send quarterbacks out for nothing, I would have tried to get.
That's true.
I would have tried to get Tolbert or something. So yeah, interesting. I mean, the halfback, you can't deny the talent. The guy is very good, but I'm just not sure I quite understand the philosophy of spending a premium pick like that on somebody that's not going to touch the ball nearly as often as they probably should.
Yeah, because now two of your three biggest offensive weapons are at the running back position, and unless he can find a way to get both of them on the field at the same time within the rules, then I mean, maybe a lot of split back, which could make him a little dangerous on offense. But now you can only run those plays 4 times a game, so you can't really sit in that formation the whole time. So I don't know.
Very, very interesting strategy.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Josh Jacobs' future is then. Because, and I'll look at his contract right now, but he's got to be close to a contract. No, he just re-signed him. So he's got 5 years remaining, making, right around 7, ending up at like 8.5. It's not a lot.
It just doesn't add up to me. The pieces don't click.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll be interested to see what he does. Hopefully he's got a plan.
Hopefully he finds a way to make it work, because this is the team with a lot of potential, and he's in a very boring division. Dan just wins it.
Yeah.
So I would like to see future kind of really make a push here and start to make a run. I think he plays me this season, so maybe not that week. Maybe sit that one out. But the other weeks I would like to see him make a run here. I'm just not quite sure how it's going to go with.
Now that running back did win Player of the Week in the AFC, and it looks like
he's very good.
Yeah, it looks like Jacobs. It doesn't look like it's going to be much of a split, because Jacobs had 8 carries for 39 yards, and that's it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see how that goes going forward, especially with those 5 years and you can't trade him. So it's not like he can even just let the contract run out and don't re-sign him. You're going to take a hit somewhere.
Yeah,
so I'm interested to see how that plays out. Next up is the Rams. And I know as soon
He
as
had
I
a great offseason.
yeah, he got Tua, which is a big get. He's still got Goff on the roster. Goff, however, he's still got 2 years remaining. So this year he counts for 31.8 million. Next year he counts for 27.8 million.
He can save a ton though. I'm seeing 25 million in savings for only an 8.5 penalty.
Yeah.
That's well worth
Yeah,
it.
I would probably. I mean, he's only 80 overall, and you're not going to use him. I'd probably just cut him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, maybe keep him for this season in case Tua goes down, but then in
yeah,
the offseason, there's no reason to keep Goff. You move on from him, use the money in free agency, and I mean this team
yep.
is loaded. So
No, he is going to have to re-sign Akers after this season,
yep.
and I don't know if he's got to re-sign Donald as well. I'm going to pull that up. No, he's still got 2 years left on Donald, but he does have to re-sign Akers. He was talking about getting the running back that I picked up in the draft. He was going to pick him up if I didn't. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with Akers. I think he's going to re-sign him. It'd be tough not to re-sign your 24-year-old superstar running back, unless you have a really good replacement. And since Future can't trade Josh Jacobs, you don't really have a replacement. But other than that, it was a pretty quiet draft. He traded away his picks so that he could get Tua, and
which was a smart move. Do that every time. If a guy like Tua is available, you jump on that.
yeah. Ravens. So the big Ravens move, obviously, they made a couple. They signed, or not signed, but traded for Cam Jordan, another high-rated departure from the Saints. So they got Cam Jordan, added him to the defensive line. They also traded Dobbins for the Bears' number 11 pick overall. And then he drafted a running back, this Brandon Bayless, 92 speed, 95 acceleration, 92 agility, 89 change of direction. Not a bad replacement for Dobbins. This trade kind of, I don't know. I don't know why you would trade Dobbins for a first and then use that first to take another running back. And maybe he'll be all right. He's a normal dev, so you're gonna have to develop him. But running backs are fairly easy. The only thing I can think is maybe it's a case of needing cap space. He does have Dobbins. Is going to be coming up on a contract this offseason, so maybe it was in an attempt to get around that, not have to pay Dobbins, just get this new guy. But Dobbins is already an 88. I mean, it's tough to replace that with this guy. So, all right, we'll see how it works out for him.
Running backs, I can get a little more than the quarterback carousel. Like you said, it is much easier to develop running backs. I'd be stunned if this guy isn't star by the end of the season, just based on one breakout game. And then if he finishes high enough in the regular season standings, which he likes to run the ball, he could have this guy reasonably at superstar by the end of the season. Only 22, he's going to dev a lot. Not going to have to pay him the same way he would Dobbins. So I do understand that. But I do understand the concern of, trading a pick or trading a player for a pick and then using the pick on basically the equivalent of what he traded.
Yeah.
Always a very interesting move.
Yeah. Like I said, the only thing that makes sense is it was a money issue.
Yeah.
Yep. The new guy is only 22, so he's like 2 years younger, but I don't think in 2 years he's going to get to where Dobbins is either. And his first game, I think he had 51 yards rushing, but we'll see. I say that, and then tonight he'll have, 458 yards rushing against me.
Yeah, be careful.
And I'll look dumb. So, next up, and this one is one of, I think, I want to say it's kind of an underrated off season. Nobody's really talking too much about him, but he just lost to Dump, so maybe that's why. But Washington picking up Aaron Jones, and then this tight end Fasaro, who's I think he's just a star, but he still looks pretty good at tight end. And I think that's going to be, by this time next season, we're going to be talking about how great of a move that was, getting those two pieces, because he was hurting teams with Melvin Gordon. And now we're giving him Aaron Jones. I think he's going to be really dangerous.
Who breaks so many tackles.
Yep.
Judging from playing him twice a season for the past 3 seasons, he breaks so many tackles and is very frustrating.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be a big move. Next up is the Saints. Oh, the Saints. So I don't know if he got caught up in the moment because ZZ just dropped Kelsey. I don't know what happened, but he got maybe just quick trigger fingers. He cuts Michael Thomas. 99 overall, Michael Thomas, just gone.
Inexcusable.
It just makes no sense because then you go out and you give Demarcus Robinson a big contract. Demarcus Robinson, a 28-year-old, 83 overall, 90 speed, absolutely nothing remarkable about him, and you give him a big contract. Why? If you're going to cut somebody, here's your guy right here, Sheldon Rankins, 83 overall.
Found him.
Making a ton
Get
of
him
money.
out.
Get rid of him. You had
It's bad.
pieces you could trade that would have made you some cap space. Cut this guy, Levi Wallace. My God, 81 overall, making like $8 million a year or $10 million a year. Just Michael Thomas, and same with the Chiefs. Travis Kelce. Yes, those guys have the big contracts, so you can cut one of them and open up a ton of cap space. But you can't replace a 99 overall receiver. You can't replace the best tight end in the game. Find cap space somewhere else, anywhere else than the best players on your team. There's a reason NFL teams don't go into the offseason and cut Michael Thomas or Travis Kelce or any of these guys when they're trying to make cap space. They find other ways to do it because you can't replace a top guy on your team. And if he's not the top statistical guy on your team, then you're the problem. It's not the team. These guys are studs, and you're just cutting them because Michael Thomas, he doesn't get catches for me. You're the one throwing him the ball. Throw him the ball. It's not difficult, but I don't know. Maybe some guys try to overthink it. You don't cut your best players.
Yeah, I don't get it. There's really no defense for outright cutting these guys. Like, okay, if you want to say that you traded them, you got something. That's a different conversation. Maybe you didn't get the best return, but at least you got something. You cut them, you get literally nothing. You just watch them go to another team. In this case, to another team in your division. Yep. It's a nightmare. It's bad management. It's not pretty to watch. And, lucky for you, you've got his pick, which is another just big blunder. I don't know how you trade your first round pick for somebody and then you cut a 99 overall receiver. But hey, I don't know what else to say. It's great for you.
All right, moving on to the Seahawks. Tiny didn't shoot himself in the foot this offseason. He actually, the only real notable move was picking up this guy Halliburton to go with Boykin from last year's draft. So he's got two superstar left outside linebackers. Obviously, I'd assume he's going to move one to the opposite side. Because his only middle linebackers is Cameron Smith, 70 overall, garbage. So I would move probably Okereke goes to the middle, and then these two play on your outside, and you're set at linebacker, at least for the foreseeable future. Other than that, he didn't really do much. It was a quiet offseason for him. Probably
his first game.
Yeah, he did win his first game. He's probably a little gun shy after the whole DK Metcalf thing. Maybe he didn't want to move too many things. All right, so now we have the Steelers. Steelers got rid of Daniel Jones, a year after acquiring him, but he did get a pretty solid quarterback here. It's an X factor quarterback, 75 overall, 92 throw power, all above 80 in his accuracies, and 80 speed. So the guy's going to be good. I would have liked to see him get another running back. He did get a couple free agents, Lowry was a free agent. And then Zaire Rich, he traded one of his backup linebackers to get him, a 92 speed guy. So he picked up a little speed. But I'm excited to see what he does with this new quarterback. I was kind of excited that he didn't trade that number one pick. Like, don't cut Daniel Jones or let him walk, and then also trade the number one pick. I was worried he was going to trade that number one pick to Prime, and then Prime let him pay the 84 quarterback, and while Prime gets the rookie superstar X Factor, whatever. So he did a good job kind of holding pat and then taking the best quarterback, and now we'll see what he does from there.
Yep. I will say I'm happy to see him rewarded. It was a very risky move to trade a lot for Jones, decide he's not the guy, and then immediately go after quarterback with your number one. If you miss on that, you're pretty much dead in the water.
Yeah, that one would really hurt.
Yeah, that one would have been dreadful. So thankfully he's good. Again, risky move. I'm glad that it kind of worked out. I'm excited to see the AFC North continue to be the most entertaining division in the SML.
All right, now we got the Texans. Texans, only trade or really offseason move I remember from him was getting Winfield from Dookie. Dookie obviously didn't want to pay him long term, and he traded him for Houston's first round pick next season. So, I mean, Texans coming off a win. He should hopefully have a decent season this year. Make that pick a little worse for Dookie.
If Dookie will be here to use it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if he's here to use it. Whoever gets Tampa Bay, though, isn't going to be too disappointed to have 2 firsts and that team. But I think that Winfield pick was a good one. He needed to get a little better in the secondary, and I think pairing him with Justin Reed is going to be a nice secondary or nice safeties anyway.
Yep, lots of speed back there. Winfield can hit too. He's got a 87 hit power, I think. Yep. His zone's a little low, but he can get that with a couple tokens, and he's 25, so there's still time to get a few of those. So I think all in all, it was not a bad move for the Texans. But I do agree, pressure's on to win a few games now.
Yeah. That brings us to the Titans. Titans got Shaq Mason. So he picked up a right guard, 30 years old, 86 overall, though. If your team, if what your identity is to run Henry, you got to build up your offensive line. Might as well give him the best blockers you can. And so At least Coop's headed in the right direction doing that.
Also underrated got Gardner Minshew, which was another Saints blunder.
Yes.
After he finally gets devved up a little bit. Obviously, his throw power is still not the greatest, but at 88, it is now at least usable. Superstar dev now. I believe he is inside Deadeye, which is a very good ability. He does inside Deadeye.
Yep.
Kind of fixed his quarterback issue without really having to do much to do it. Didn't have to make any huge trades. Didn't have to give out a massive contract. Really a great pickup for Coop.
Yeah, I think he did pretty good this offseason. And then our final team for the offseason is going to be your team. And you picked up Frank Clark. You added Cameron Hayward. I'm a little disappointed in that because I wanted to re-sign him, but he wasn't having any of that. So, I think you did pretty good adding to your line there. I would have liked to see you get a little younger in the defense, but I think all in all, it went pretty well in the offseason.
Yeah, tried a couple times, couple different places. I actually think that I had missed hearing that Chason was available. I probably would have made a bigger play for him instead of Frank Clark had I noticed that. But I'm okay to see Frank Clark. He had a solid first game for me before he left with injury. Thankfully, he's still okay. Stats are good. I was hoping that when he hit that 85 overall, he would get edge threat. He did not get edge threat. He got a completely useless ability, so that one kind of hurt. Mostly, though, happy with first round pick. I took a strong safety who obviously I'm using the sub linebacker spot, Lorenzo Harriet. 2 picks in the first game. So hopefully Madden doesn't dog me on breakout games for him like they did Shaheem Carter. But yeah, all in all, can't complain. Definitely not getting as young as I would prefer to see. But this team is very handicapped as far as players able to be moved. So I really can't do anything with many of them. And the draft has not been very kind to me as of yet. So we'll see.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our off-season thoughts for each team. The next thing we have is our predictions. We're going to do weeks 2, 3, and 4. We've got 3 for each week. And just like last season, we'll keep track and we'll see how it goes. So first one up is going to be week 2, 49ers at Rams. Dump coming off a really good game, but RD is RD. Can't be fooled by last year's record because he missed 3/4 of the season. So I know Dump's coming off a big win, but I'm going with RD in this game.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, especially after Dump got rid of his quarterback and has Jalen Hurts. I think this might be the first game that we see some resistance on the rush. Obviously, you've got Aaron Donald stuff in the run. RD is a pretty solid defensive player, so I think that's going to hurt Dump in this game.
All right, so we're both going with the Rams on that one. And so the next one, and this one is actually going on, I believe, right now, but I don't think either of us have seen it, so we'll pick this game.
Not.
Rowan taking on Washington, and I'll pick first again because it doesn't matter what you pick here. I'm not trying to copy you, but I'm taking Washington, and for obvious reasons, he's just beaten Rowan every time he's faced him, and they really haven't been that close, even if Rowan says it's luck.
Yeah, and Rowan just keeps adding fuel to the fire. So Q is going to bring his game every time. And, you got to stick with him until Rowan shows that he can get over the hump there.
All right, next up is going to be the Patriots taking on the Browns. Both division winners last season. Both, both not coming off a loss because Patriots lost to the Jets, but Browns beat the Ravens. Who do you have in this game?
So I have the Browns. I think that Matt is going to stick with that Drew Lock development thing for at least a little bit longer, and I think that's really going to kill him. I think Woods is just going to be a little more solid. Matt's strength is just not passing the ball, so if he's trying to force that, it's not going to go well. And I got the Browns.
All right, I'm going to take the Browns as well. Same reason. I think Matt's going to continue to try to pass, and I think the Browns are probably not the team to do that against. So I think Woods is going to pull that one out, and then I think Matt may kind of reverse direction on that and go back to the run game. So week 3, then we'll have the Cowboys taking on Rowan and the Giants. Who do you have for this one?
Now this one, I'm going back to my boy Rowe. I know that he loses every time I pick him, but I'm still not going to let it deter me. I just really like what he's doing with that team. I think he has Grams figured out a little bit. So yeah, I'm sticking my boy Rowan.
All right, I'm gonna go with Rowan too. I just don't think. I think Rowan has been steadily getting better every season, and Grams has kind of been getting worse every year. Maybe Grams will figure it out. Maybe it's not his team. Maybe it's something he's trying to do differently, or something going on with him that's making it where his team's going down. But like we talked about trending, he went from 13-3 to 8-8 to 7-9. Meanwhile, you got Rowan going the opposite direction. He's kind of shooting up, and his team is getting better. So I'm going to go with Rowan in this one until Grams shows otherwise.
Yep.
So our next game will be the Rams and the Cardinals again. With RD has really actually a pretty tough schedule these 3 weeks because he's in all 3 picks. He's got the 49ers, he's got the Cardinals, and then he finishes with the Ravens.
Wow.
What do you think, him and Meats? Who do you think wins this one?
This is tough. I feel like they're similar. They're very well balanced against each other. I'm gonna stick with I'm gonna stick with RD. I like RD a lot. I like Tua a lot. To pair with Cam. And I think that Meats still hasn't quite built back his defensive line yet. So going up against Cam Akers, that's gonna hurt. I'm going to stick with the Rams.
All right. I'm going to go with the Cardinals, so we'll have a split here.
There you go. I thought about it.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals just because already hasn't played much in the last however long he's been out, so maybe he'll need a couple weeks to get his feet under him, and I think Meats is a team that you can't come in less than 100%. So I'm going to go with Meats on that one. Then our last week 3 game is going to be Washington against Miami. Both coming off losses in week 1. Obviously, we don't know what they did in week 2, but and both had tough opponents. It wasn't like either one of them got blown out by a team that shouldn't have beat them. But I'm going to go with Washington. I'm not sure what's going on with Paulie actually, because he had that game against Prime where he beat him, and then he's been downhill ever since. He lost his season finale game to Two-Step. He lost to Hova last year. He lost his playoff game, which I think that was to Prime. I can't even remember. No, he lost to Matt. That's right.
Yeah, he lost to Matt.
He lost to Matt. And then coming in start this season, I beat him 27-10 in a game that really wasn't ever close. I don't know what's going on there. And I don't know if he gets it figured out before he faces Washington, that we just said had a really good offseason. So I'm going with Washington.
Yeah, I agree. Paulie just seems to be snowballing. I'm gonna stick with Q, hotter team.
All right. That'll move us to week 4, and we'll have Carolina and Royce, assuming he plays, taking on the Colts. Who do you have in this one?
It's interesting because I think Royce plays a defensive style that can beat Prime. Um, but I'm still sticking with Prime. I think that Metcalf on the outside has all of the man beating abilities that Royce likes to run. So I'm gonna stick Colts on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Colts too. I know Prime and Royce played each other probably quite a bit last cycle because they were in both in the AFC and in the playoffs quite a bit as well. So I think they know each other pretty well, but I think the more you play Prime, the better he is at learning how you play. And if you don't change it up, then I think he kind of finds your weakness and exploits it. And Royce having McCaffrey this season and the Panthers, he's basically done the same thing all cycle,
Yep.
and it's feed McCaffrey. And I think if Prime takes that away, then I'm not sure Royce can recover from that. So I'm going to take Prime as well.
Yeah.
Next game is going to be the Rams and the Ravens. So RD again for the third time on this list. This time he's going to take on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and I'm going to take RD in this one. I think at this point he'll have it figured out, and I think that run game with Akers is just going to be too much for the Ravens.
I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna go the other way and take NY. Tough to win, 3 hard games in a row. I think that one might, get to RD. I think he's due for, I don't know if anything, like a bad bounce or something in one of those. NYT's team is very good. Add a little bit of pass rush. So I'm going to take him in this one.
All right, and then our last game is going to be the Texans and the Saints. Two
Did not
two
see that
teams,
coming.
two teams that are, at least that's the last couple seasons, near the bottom. And they should be a pretty good matchup. I think I'm going to lean towards the Texans in this one. The offseason that Colt has had, I don't think is going to help him win any games. Again, you can say you're throwing games, but nobody wants to come on here and log in every 2 days and get their ass whipped and end up with a 6-11 or 5-11 record. So you can say you did it on purpose. I don't think so. We've all seen the historic records for the SML. It's not like you're a 10-win team. Maybe a 7-win team, maybe 6. So it was pretty close to the historic average. No reason to think it would be any different this season. So I'm going to go with the Texans.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Texans as well. Better offseason, going very different directions from New Orleans. I also think just honestly playing in the AFC South, playing against you twice, playing against Prime twice, even playing against Coop twice, I think can really build up a Madden player. So I think we'll see that in an equal kind of record matchup. I think we'll see Coop kind of come out and impress. Not Coop, Koopa.
Yeah,
Texans, Koopa,
October, Koopa.
Coop,
He's got like 8
October,
different
Koopa.
names. Could
Yeah,
be
they're
anything.
all over the place. Texans, Houston,
Just
Houston guy.
All right, so that's going to do it for our predictions, at least for our game predictions. So just like last season, we had our bold predictions going into the season, and we're going to do that again. And I'm going to start with mine, and I'll start with my prediction because I'm going to do NFC and you can do AFC, just like last season. I'm going to start with my NFC prediction for this season, and I'm going to predict that there's going to be a 10-win team in the NFC that doesn't make the playoffs. I think with RD coming back, you could have three 10-win teams in both the NFC East and the NFC West. And I think somebody's going to get left out with 10 wins. All right, what's your first bold prediction?
Definitely makes sense. Deep conference. My first bold prediction for the overarching AFC, and it's definitely gonna be bold. I'm gonna say that Dan does not represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. He has a loaded team. He has a crap ton of weapons. Sometimes too many weapons can get in your head and kind of mess you up. I've noticed that myself. I play with the Chiefs in Dan's league, and I will honestly say that it was actually difficult for a little bit because I was trying to figure out how to balance all the talent, and it took me a while. So you can be due for some downs. all it takes is one slip up in the playoffs, and the AFC has some teams that can surprise you. So I'm going to say that Dan does not represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this season.
All right. So then my next one. So I said that a 10-win team's going to miss the playoffs. I also think that the NFC West only gets 2 playoff teams. So out of RD, Dump, and Meats, one of them's not getting in. I'm not sure which one it's going to be because I think they're all kind of neck and neck. Any week, anybody could win. But I think of those 3, one of them doesn't get in.
For sure. So my next one, I'll stick in the West, going to the AFC West, bold prediction, which I'll be honest, doesn't give me a lot of options. Somebody there's got to step up. I'm going to say I liked future schedule. I like that, I think he's got a team that's growing and getting better. I'm going to say that he still does not make the playoffs. I think this is still a one-man show with Dan. I think future gets close, maybe makes a challenge, but I think he's going to miss. And miss by a game or so.
All right. So my next pick is going to be I'll go to the NFC East next. And I think I kind of touched on it earlier, but I think the NFC East is going to have 3 10-win teams. And I think it's going to be Washington, Philadelphia, and the Giants. I think Graham's, like I said, he's steadily declining, and I think this season he ends up at the bottom of the NFC East. Now, maybe that motivates him to turn it around and pass Rowan, because I don't know about passing the other 2. The Eagles came out, they beat Washington first time they played them. Maybe that's a fluke. I don't know the Eagles guy, but that's an impressive first win coming into the league. So I'm going to say NFC East, 3 10-wins teams, and it's the Giants, the Eagles, and Washington.
Okay, and that'll take me to my AFC East. I am gonna go with Matt does not make the playoffs.
Ooh.
And that's a little, he was just in the AFC Championship game. He's got, the ground and pound offense, but obviously we've seen him talk about how he, wants to try and dev Drew Lock. Sometimes it's hard to get that idea out of your head once you've already settled on it. We already saw it cost him a game against the Jets. I can see it costing him another game in week 2 here. He's playing a first place schedule this season. Week 1 against the Jets is not a game you can afford to drop if you want to try and repeat, especially in what's going to be a close division. So I'm going to say that Matt just misses the playoffs this season.
All right, that is bold. All right, so my next pick will be the NFC North, and Hova will not be the worst team in the NFC North. That's right. I picked him to go 0-16 last season. This season, I'm saying he's not even going to be the worst team in the NFC North. Figs, I'm looking at you. It's going to be Figs. Really off to a disappointing start so far. The offseason wasn't good. In the quarterback shuffle of season 3 offseason, you didn't get one. And I think that's going to be a problem. And Hova, at times last season, looked good. And I don't think he's going to have to look good very many times to avoid being the worst team in the NFC North. So, Hova, enjoy 3rd place in the NFC North.
NFC North getting wild, baby. So AFC North for me, this has obviously been a division that's been extremely hard to call every season. The big joke is always that no one wants to win it. I'm going to say that this season, they just go Browns and Ravens go back and forth whole season. I say both of them make playoffs. Both of them win 11 games.
Okay. All right. So my last bold prediction will be the NFC South. And I will predict that the NFC South will end the season with a new owner. Someone in that NFC South will be replaced before the season is over. And that's my NFC South bold prediction.
Might not be bold.
It's probably not that bold.
That's all right, because my AFC South bold prediction is there's really not a whole lot to predict. It really comes down to what do I think that Prime is going to do. Bomber, consistent as they get. I can pretty much call your season right now. You're going to start really hot. You're going to dominate. You're going to win big games. You're going to slump right before playoffs. Then you're going to be fine. So that's not really bold. With Prime, though, Prime's outcomes are all over the map. I feel like he can either finally regain his dominance, run through playoffs, and take the wide open AFC spot that I predicted that Dan would not get, or it could be the same thing that we've seen previously, and he loses in the playoffs very quickly. And oh shoot, as I hit my computer, everybody laughs. I'm gonna double down. I'm not gonna call 16-0 because he already broke my heart on that. So 16-0 is out. Just get there, baby. This is Prime's year. He makes the Simbardi, represents the AFC, and we'll see who makes it on the NFC side before I predict that one.
All right. So that's our bold predictions, and that was me trying to save it. A little tone. So that's going to take us to our final segment, which is going to be our burning thoughts. And I think we've kind of hit on them significantly during this show that is now passing the 90-minute mark.
As usual.
But what are some of your burning thoughts? What's kind of just burning a hole in your brain right now? You just have to get out.
Burning the hole in my brain, man. These trade rules have got to go, or they've got to be revised, or something's got to change because the trade rules are bad. And I will come right out and say it. This is going to sound like an episode of The Truth. But I don't like the trade rules. I didn't say anything when I was, brand new because, hey, whatever, I'm brand new. What am I going to say? After seeing them in action for a couple seasons here, I'm noticing some problems with the trade rules. I get the concept. I understand that you don't want people coming in immediately nuking their teams, trading their best players left and right. And, the league doesn't even look like the NFL anymore, after a season and a half. The alternative, though, seems to be that teams are just getting locked in to these players because they either get some unnecessary superstar upgrade, or they don't meet some, odd threshold. Teams get locked in and they just start making bad decisions with players. Michael Thomas and Travis Kelce should never be outright cut. Each one of them should have been able to fetch at least one first-round pick, probably maybe even two, maybe first in a player, something that can help build a team, not just cutting them for, $10 of cap savings. So, that's gotta change. Because I really just hate seeing teams like that getting just nuked. And the reason is because they just don't have much flexibility. So I think that really needs to be looked at. Also curious on the looking at the Eagles specifically, the new person restrictions on can't trade a first round pick, can't trade any superstar players. I get the concept. Part of me wonders what the point is because we have Primer to vet out bad owners. So generally, if somebody makes it here, probably with the exception of Dookie, that you're getting somebody very legit. So my question then is why the big hole? That one I understand a little more just because, again, new people, you never quite know what you're getting. But seeing a team like the Eagles, he probably could have done a lot with that team. He already did very well with the little that he had. If he had a little bit more he could move, I'd be very curious to see if it were to kind of shift a balance of power in that division, or to see if he can make himself potentially, a front runner in the NFC going forward. But we will never really know because he couldn't make many trades. So those are my burning thoughts.
Yeah, I think the trade rules are a good idea. You have to have some type of rules, not guidelines, QB. But when the point of it was to, I assume, make sure you don't have it look just ridiculous with, I don't know, superstar players just moving all over the place, like Michael Thomas now on the Buccaneers and Travis Kelce on the Broncos. They kind of, what you were trying to avoid, I feel like you just created in a different way, because now you have guys getting just outright cut. At some point, someone decided it was better to get absolutely nothing for Michael Thomas than to keep him on the roster because he couldn't be traded. And that just doesn't make sense to me that now you have the two Super Bowl teams just picked up for nothing two of the best players at their position. Dan adds the best tight end in the game. depending how you play. I guess Dookie picked up the best wide receiver in the game for nothing. Just you put in a bid on him. You had the cap space. Now you have the best player at their position. And
of course, then you run the risk. I mean, Dan does it with a legitimate. Dookie does it with just clear Madden, manipulation. 1 year contract for Michael Thomas is just absolutely silly. Should not happen, and it's a bad look. It's just not a situation you want to see. It's not good for the teams involved. It's not a good reflection on anything. That's something that I think needs to be looked at too, because you just don't want to see that. I just don't think it's healthy to see these guys cut, and you have the Saints now. Just they got nothing for it. Absolutely nothing for it. They got nothing. Chiefs got nothing for Kelsey. It's just teams getting worse. It's ruining parity for sure.
Well, and it's kind of ironic that just last night there's a post on Reddit accusing Prime of nuking a team and just cutting all these good players, right? We just allowed that. Like that just happened and it was fine. You got teams cutting 97, 99 overall players. I mean, the only difference is they didn't leave when they did it. But it's basically the same thing. So
how long do you go on losing?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that one of them is gonna bounce, but like really how long? And it's not like losing Thomas is not going to help the cause in New Orleans.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a better season because you don't have Mike Thomas anymore. So like, how long do you go on doing that before it gets frustrating?
Yeah, I think maybe the trade rules need to be looked at and maybe put more of it on the trade committee as far as to approve a trade or not. If a team wants to trade Travis Kelce, like that doesn't seem that unreasonable. Not like cutting him for nothing. Mm-hmm. Maybe let the trade committee have a special trade committee just for trades like that or something. I don't know what the answer is, but allowing people to just cut 97 and 99 overall players, it just doesn't seem to me any better than letting them trade them, or any worse than letting them trade them.
Yeah, there's definitely no perfect answer, but there's definitely an answer better than getting nothing for them.
Yeah, because in that case, like you said, those two teams got nothing except some cap space, to give Andrew Villanueva a $17 million contract. So, that's if you're trying to avoid teams getting nuked, and it didn't do it.
Yep.
So
totally agree. So
we'll see, but I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of Heat Check. A little over an hour and a half. If we're still in the league next week, then we'll probably make another episode. But if not, it's been fun.
It's been real SML.
Yep. So with that, this is Heat Check signing out.
Later.
Let me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat. Can I get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check.